Just when I thought we were out, David Chase pulls me back in. Oh, Vinny! We're gonna watch the new Many Saints of Newark trailer. Yeah, I guess he made two. A few things have developed since I made the video of my Many Saints of Newark trailer. I've learned a few things, and a few things have come to light. So on my phone, I have a post from Mafia Chronicles, which goes into a little more detail of who's playing who. We already know a lot of them. This, Leslie Odom Jr., will be playing Harold McBrayer. He looks pretty gangster, hanging out his car there with his little old school hat. So I'm really excited to see what that whole storyline is going to be. I think it's going to be the whole plot of the movie, pretty much. Additionally, we have Samson Mokiola. Sorry, that's
Mikiola.
Moe Kiola as Big Pussy, Salvatore Bompensero. Again, looks like he's a pretty unknown actor, which again, I love. I think it's really exciting that they're using a bunch of people who are not just like super famous faces. And we have John Magaro, or Magero, however you pronounce his name, as Silvio Dante. He's got pretty much the right stuff. As long as he can frown really hard, and then he can do it. And finally, we found out at least Ray Liotta's character name, which is Hollywood Dick, which is epic. So there's going to be two Dicks, Dickie Moltisanti and Hollywood Dick. Yeah, so Ray Liotta's character, I think a lot of us were guessing was going to probably be his own character. A lot of the main characters in the whole plot were already spoken for. So like I said, I figured they would just add him in as just some kind of OG, something like that. And that sounds like what's going on. Those three are character names that at least I didn't know prior to today. So David Chase was interviewed by Rolling Stone. It's a really insightful interview. It talks about how David kind of came up with the idea and decided to go through with this. I definitely recommend watching it. It's really interesting. David Chase is a weird bird in some ways. It always amazes me how some artists never really seem to understand their full impact of what they've made. For example, in the interview, David Chase says, "Is anyone ever fundamentally changed by TV or movies?" And I mean, I would think that the answer to that is a hard yes. Because movies can illustrate a lot. In the case of, in The Sopranos, maybe it would teach a person, hey, crime doesn't pay, and maybe they would think twice about it. That's speculation, obviously. He talks about the origin of this story. A lot of us think, well, you know, Sopranos was such a hit, it was such a great thing, it would be natural for the director or the writer or anyone to go back on that and say, hey, let's tell the same story again from a different perspective, or not really the same story, but, you know, let's go back into this world. And frankly, from the interview, it doesn't sound like David Chase really ever had any intention of revisiting the Sopranos world at all. And really, someone had just mentioned to him the idea that it would be really interesting to see old Junior and Johnny Boy Soprano in the olden days. And I'm sure with all the reminiscing that happens on the show, you know, it would be really interesting to watch and see all of that illustrated in front of us, because, you know, all of these people in the Sopranos talk about these old people like they're gods, they're legends, right? You know, like Dickie Moltisanti is held in super high regard. And David Chase basically said he would like to tell an older story about the Newark area, because I believe that is where he grew up. And the only vessel he would do that through is probably the old Sopranos family. In a way, I don't think David Chase holds the Sopranos and the entire show quite in the same light. I think part of that idea stems from the cobbler's children have no shoes, in that if you do something professionally, like for example act or direct or write or make this beautiful piece of art, you're not going to be able to sit back and enjoy it and spectate it as much as you might be able to if you were just someone like us, just a regular viewer. I think some of that magic is kind of lost there for David Chase, probably a lot of the other people that maybe don't fully understand the impact that the show had. This is his way of going back and telling stories of how he grew up and all this stuff. And in his mind, it's interesting that he mentions there's a lot of pros to being an old school gangster or back in time, because even Sopranos talks about how their job is becoming harder. And David Chase specifically mentions that, you know, there's no RICO predicates, DNA testing, all that. Like, crime is, I guess, a little easier to get away with. And he also talked about the Newark riots, which is going to be another center point of this whole thing. It's relevant today because of all of what's going on. Again, I don't think David Chase intended that at all. It sounds like the plot of the story, more or less, is going to be Dickie Moltisanti with his gang of Italians versus a black gang, more or less, led by Leslie Odom Jr.'s character. So I think that's really interesting, and again, the story is going to focus on Dickie Moltisanti, but I think it's, you know, gonna touch obviously a ton of stuff in the Sopranos world, because it's impossible not to. The main focus is going to be telling the story of Dickie Moltisanti and that era of things. Even David Chase said that all of the Sopranos branding and calling it like Many Saints of Newark, a Sopranos story, is just like, it's just marketing that David Chase is nothing, you know, is not interested in, and whatever. But I think most of us are just hoping it's going to be a good movie. I know I am, and I think it will at least be that. Trailer number 2. Let's see what's going on. Back in prison.
What do you want, Richard? I'll be honest with you.
I want money.
I want to do a good deed.
Dickie Moltisanti just wants to do a good deed.
I want to do a lot more.
The best things in life are free.
I try to set an example for my nephew.
Give them to the birds and bees. I want money.
Anthony got kicked out of school. I went through all that trouble, and for what?
I'm always being accused.
You gotta...
And for what? We do all this to keep you in school. Blah, blah, and for what?
Food on the table, video games, all kinds of scooters and bicycles. Columbia University, and for what?
School. I went through all that trouble, and for what?
I'm always...
And for what? I also heard through the grapevine that Christopher Moltisanti will be doing a voiceover for the movie. It should be interesting. Maybe it'll be similar to what they did in the Goodfellas, as Martin Scorsese called ironic voiceover. Alright, so we saw that coming. This woman is going to be Christopher's mother. I wonder if they're going to do some kind of twist where it's like Chris's mom was not his mom the whole time. Joanne. That's right, Joe. I mean, she's at least got the nose, right? Is that part of it? That is where Christopher got his nose, for sure. There's already romance stewing.
Wonder what they talk about in that.
I didn't catch the name.
Pussy.
Put him on the table.
I think I just got this jacket. Just got this jacket.
I just got this jacket, though. That's actually funny that he says that, because that's something he would say. Here's Big Pussy, Salvatore. So Salvatore's, like, seemingly already in the crew here.
You know, I try so hard.
Oh, that looks so much like Silvio. And based on that, I think I know what they're gonna do with that tool, huh? Look at that! I mean, you don't even see his face, but that look just like him.
Something about Dickie Moltisanti. What a blow.
I know you can get anything.
Look at Dickie Moltisanti. He steps up, takes care of his family, takes care of all the bases.
If anybody tells anybody about this,
How you doing on your merit badges?
I cannot wait to see young Tony Soprano just causing havoc with his buddies. It's gonna be fun. I also realized that the kid that's with him, that maybe he is fighting near that phone booth, probably Artie Bucco, right?
I want to do all kinds of good things. It's the want thing. Pain comes from always wanting things.
Hey, pain comes from always wanting things. That's a pretty apt definition.
What do I know? I'm a murderer.
Got myself a son.
Hi, Christopher.
Oh! Christopher Moltisanti's in the hoop. The Doesn't that make you want to cry? If you've watched the whole goddamn Sopranos, then how sad is this shit right here? He's looking at his killer.
It's like a scam or something.
Some babies, when they come into the world, know all kinds of things from the other side.
Dude! What? Okay, so I read somewhere on the Reddit earlier today that someone mentions how there was like this kind of, I guess, supernatural side of The Sopranos. Tony, it really comes in Tony's subconscious state where he's either in a coma or he's dreaming, or he is, what was it? He was in a coma, the test dream, all that stuff. So there's always been that spiritual side, and there's the thing with Paulie where he goes to see a psychic and he's carrying a bunch of dead bodies around with him or whatever. And I mean, okay, again, we're just gonna have to spoil it. If you've seen The Sopranos, Tony ends up killing Christopher. Watching this movie in this context, and if you just keep in mind that fact, where it's like, you know, Tony is friends with Dickie, and it's like, Tony is gonna kill this guy's son. Like, that's the thing you gotta think about when you're watching that movie. He's gonna kill that dude's son. His own fucking cousin. I guess the other thing I didn't point out is this is probably Janice, just because I recognize the actor. The girl who's gonna play Janice looks so much like her. I don't know about Tony's other sister. Like Vito said, her hair is pretty.
What a blow.
I think Junior says that exact phrase almost exactly like that. What a blow. I mean, that looked pretty convincing, actually.
Blow.
I just kind of came to the realization that they named him Hollywood Dick, and that's hilarious. He's a Hollywood Dick. Holy crap. That's funny. Well, there you have it, folks. That's really all I have to say about this ordeal. I had no idea this trailer was coming out. I didn't watch it before this video. Doesn't look like they revealed a whole lot more. They showed you the faces of Pussy, and, well, frankly, they let some of the characters talk and, you know, kind of show up on screen, right? I'm really excited for this movie. I think we only have just a month or so before it comes out, and I am super, super stoked. I'm so happy that David Chase decided to revisit this world. I don't know, it's really got the makings of a varsity athlete. Alright, I gotta get the fuck out of here.